All right, so it looks like we are good to go now. Got through all of those technical hurdles. So hey everybody, my name is Kenny Spade. I am talking today about bringing mobile phone development to the classroom. What I'm going to be doing is walking you through some of the things that we've got. I have a sample syllabus that we are currently developing for doing some application development on the mobile platform. I'm also going to walk you through a kind of a how-to on building an application and how to build a game, depending on how much time we have left now. So I'll get as far as I can in both of those things. And then if you take a look at the handout that we had on that final page, there is a bunch of additional resources on the back, including the last one there, additional resources. That's me, Kenny Spade. I am an academic developer evangelist. So I would like you guys to treat me as a resource. If you need anything, feel free to contact me, and I will do my best to see what I can do for you guys. So again, this type of information is on that last page. Got my email address, got my blog on there. So who am I? I am Kenny Spade. I actually graduated from a community college up north, Shasta College. At the time, I wasn't really sure what I was trying to do, so I was just taking every class in computers, every class in math, every class in physics, just because they were all fun. And ended up graduating and about to transfer to a university. Went to the industry as a software developer. Stayed there for about 5 years, and then went back to school to finish up my 4-year degree because I knew that if I was going to advance anywhere, I would need that 4-year degree. So I finished that up, and right after I graduated there, that was at Cal State Chico. Graduated there and went to work for Microsoft as an academic developer evangelist. So in my role as an academic developer evangelist, like I said, I want you guys to treat me as a resource because that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make me available to help you guys out in developing curriculum, in doing presentations for your classes, in getting access to software. And then we also have a bunch of other things that we're doing. For example, something called the Imagine Cup. How many people know about the Imagine Cup? That is good. So for those of you who don't know, it is a student competition where we get students from around the world to compete by developing software, developing games, doing digital media, having IT challenges, and the focus around this is solving the world's toughest problems. So they're able to use software and develop games to help address problems like the UN Millennium Goals. Things like poverty, world hunger, HIV and AIDS, maternal health, all of which can be solved or at least addressed with software, games, digital media, and so we try and get them access to that. So if you want that T-shaped student, this is a great way to do that. We're actually doing some events coming up here in February where we're going to be doing 2 half-day events, and we're still looking at where they're going to be located and the exact dates. But the first event is going to be around soft skills like doing design goals, doing presentation skills, ideas on how to turn your idea into a startup. And then the second event would be getting the technical skills that you need to compete as well. And that's for basically general knowledge, but also for competition in the Imagine Cup. So one of the other things that I do is give students access to software. This is the DreamSpark site. DreamSpark gives all students throughout the world, as many of them as possible, access to our software development tools. So things like Windows Server, Visual Studio. We give you access to the Windows Phone Marketplace. Students have the entry fee waived. Expression Studio. So a lot of tools which, if you go for the professional level tools, are rather expensive. We want to give those to your students for free. We also have a program called the MSDN Academic Alliance, which is specifically for technical departments. So if you're in a tech department, you should have this. If you don't have this for whatever reason, if it's budget or whatever, talk to me. I'll see what I can do to get it to you. And budget should not be a problem if this is something that you're interested in. And again, this gives you access to everything that was over on DreamSpark, but it also gives access to faculty. It gives you the software so that you can use it in your labs, and it gives you the ability to have, instead of something like 20, 30 applications, it gives you 300 applications to choose from. So pretty much everything Microsoft produces except for Word, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Yeah?
I remember a couple of years ago that it was free to all STEM programs via a deal with the Community College Foundation.
I
pipeline, is that no longer going?
I believe that's still the case, but I'm not sure exactly the details of that. I know that my counterpart down in Southern California helped to set that up. And it may have been that it was, because I've heard this before where, you know, a department has access to it, but not everyone in the department, and for whatever reasons, be they political or, you know, whatever, we can get around those problems.
Yeah, because that's what it said. That's Sam you're referring to?
Yeah, Sam Schutz.
Yeah, that's who told us about that. It was through the CCC Foundation that we were able to have all the different STEM programs on the single campus, each have their own.
Right.
That's a great deal.
Okay, yeah, so that was through the CCC. Basically, the comment was we did work with CCC on getting access to everybody, you know, all of the community colleges in California. So that should be the case. Not everybody here, I don't think, is from California necessarily, so we can still do that outside of California. Again, you can talk to me. I can get you in touch with your local academic evangelist. So let's go right into it. How many people are familiar with the fact that we just released a new phone? Okay, so we released this in November, along with a set of developer tools. We actually released the developer tools a couple of months before the device, and we have, last statistics that I saw, 22,000 registered developers and 5,500 applications in the marketplace from the last 2 months. So we've got a lot of momentum going as far as developing new applications, getting everything onto the phone. And the way that we set everything up was through basically the tile system and the hub system. So you've got these different tiles which represent your applications. Some of them are hubs where you can jump into your email, you can jump into people, and it gives you additional information that you can go into. So what I'm going to be showing today is how you can develop your own applications, get your own tile on the front page there, put it up onto the marketplace, and have your students start making money off of an assignment that they did in class. So basically what's built in, we wanted to make sure that every phone, because there are a number of different manufacturers that we're working with, had the same baseline. That was really important for us because we wanted to make sure that if you developed a single application for a single model, it would work across every handset. So some of the things that we did was going through touch. So you had 4 points of multi-touch on there. I'm going to be showing you that in the game. We have the same browser across those, and it was just released recently that a future update will also include support for HTML5. So right now we're running a previous version of our browser. We will be releasing Internet Explorer 9 for mobile with HTML5 support. We have a music, videos, and photo hub, and there's a way that you can integrate your application with that. We have a lot of communication where you can use APIs to communicate with some of the existing contacts on the phone and be able to get access to the web. We have integrated maps, so you can plug into that. And then we also have applications and games through that marketplace. So the two different types of applications. We actually based our application development platform on some existing tools that we had been using, which actually makes it really great for existing .NET developers because they suddenly are mobile developers without having to learn any additional skills. The first one is through Microsoft Silverlight. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, it was originally developed as a web plugin, so for rich internet applications. So you can develop applications to take advantage of streaming media and anything that you would need to do with interaction on the web. And that plugs directly in. It's great for developing applications on the phone. And on the other side, you have XNA, which was originally developed as a hobbyist platform for the Xbox 360, which gives you full support for 3D development on the phone as well. So Silverlight, as I mentioned, was originally targeting the web. It's cross-browser, cross-platform, which means that it works on Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, and Chrome in the latest version, and across PC and Mac. And you can install that to your machine from the website using something called Out of Browser on both the PC and Mac. And then on the Windows Phone 7, we're actually running Silverlight 3. The current version that's released for the web is Silverlight 4. But they are very compatible as far as what they work with. So you could actually have one application running in both scenarios. Gives you pre-built UI and controls, composited and windowed video, browser control so you can get access to the internet, a soft keyboard so you can do the typing on the screen directly, familiar experience for web developers, as I mentioned, that's where it came from, and it also gives you keyframe animations, which is one of the things I'll be showing you. XNA, on the other side, works with Windows Phone 7, the Xbox 360, and Windows. If you worked with earlier versions of XNA, XNA 3.0 would also work with the Zune and the Zune HD. We dropped support for that at the 4.0. So it basically, each phone has a zoom built into it, so the new Windows phones support XNA 4.0. There's some additional hardware though, so it can't work with both. It gives you this update and draw looping structure. This is the way that you can get access to 3D graphics. Gives you full screen video. You have a content pipeline project, which makes things really easy to consume if you're working with 3D models, audio, any of those things that come into a game. Gives you hardware acceleration. Graphics hardware acceleration, meaning that you can do some things on the GPU, so you don't have to bog down the CPU with your development. And also dedicated hardware scaling, which means that if you draw things small and then have it scale it up, it does all of that on the GPU, so you don't get really a performance hit. So on the Silverlight side, I am going to create an application. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to do the standard Hello World type application. And then I'm going to play a quick animation on there using the storyboarding. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. So this has to be taking up part of my screen, is that?
Well,
can I minimize that at all?
Yeah.
Let's see, how would I do that?
Well, it'll go into it and
It's kind of. All right, I'll do as much as I can with this small space. So this is Visual Studio. This is actually the Express version, so it's free for everybody. So you can go onto the website and download that. There's a link to that on the document that I gave you guys. So what
You
we're going to do
should
is
be able to configure your Illuminate window to be
mini controller layout.
for the layout. You can choose different layouts. So whichever one works for you.
well, here's the
might
layout.
get,
Do the what?
Aha!
There.
Can you still see it over there?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so we're going to create a new project here. And so what I'm going to do, you'll notice you have Silverlight and XNA. I'm going to start with a Silverlight application. And it gives you a little bit of a preview over here what you're going to get. And I'm just going to leave the default name and everything because that is not important to what I'm showing you guys. So when I do this, what it does is it creates this kind of what you see is what you get display over on this side, and then it shows all of the code that goes into it on the back end. So that's called XAML. It's the Extensible Application Markup Language. It's a variant of XML. And you could go over here and edit all of this by hand, but I really don't recommend that because you just do some drag and dropping over here and it's all great. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, show what happens if I just run the application. So it brings up the emulator here, which is actually running the exact same ROM that you would run on the phone. So anything that works on here is going to work on your phone as well. There are a few things that can't be emulated, such as accelerometer or GPS, because you just don't have them in your PC. But most of the stuff will just come over on here. So you can see it's running my application, and if I wanted to, I can do stuff in here, but there's nothing that I can do. If I hit the back button, it closes my application, and I see that I'm running the base OS. There's my application, it's installed into here. So what I'm going to do is the Hello World thing. So click a button. I want to change this thing that says page name over to Hello World. So this text block right over here is named page title, you can see. So what I'm going to do is go over to the toolbox, drag a button, drop down to here, and when I double click this, it brings up the code behind. So the code behind in this case is running C#. There's also a beta right now for VB.NET. If that's the curriculum that you use, you can use that beta. But the primary language that we're using on here is C#. So on here, I have that page title. I just want to say page title.text is equal to hello world. I run that and brings up.
But these you are using Visual Studio 2010.
Yes, so I'm using Visual Studio 2010 Express for Windows Phone.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll also integrate into anything else, so if you have Professional or Ultimate
So
or any of those.
that's the one that you're saying that it doesn't have the VB.NET yet integrated.
Right, so the question was, this one does not have VB.NET. That is correct because there is a separate project. We will be integrating the two of them so that you can get one or the other and they'll both run in the same kind of scenario here. I have not installed VB.NET. I don't really like VB.NET. It's just a personal preference thing. What's that?
What's the date on that?
They have not announced it yet because the Visual Basic.NET is still in beta, so they haven't announced a release date for that yet. So here we're running our application. I've got my page name right up here. I've got the button, and when I click on the button, there we go, hello world. So now I want to do something a little bit more. That's where we have another application called Expression Blend. that gives you more of a designer type of interface for developing applications. So if I bring up Expression Blend, the way that we kind of set this up, everything in here is all text. You saw the XAML is the markup, which is text. The setup that we have on Visual Studio, all the code behind is just text. So it's really easy to put it into revision control. It's really easy to switch back and forth between the two of them. So if I actually go to Project and open an existing project, if this lets me. Okay, there we go. Open project and pop over to Visual Studio. I did Phone Application 2. It will give me the same setup that I had last time. So there's my button, and I can go through and do everything on this. So what I'm going to show you on here is using the object and timeline. I'm going to create a new storyboard. I'm going to call that one Storyboard 1. And let me grab a graphic real quick because I moved it off my desktop. So now I'm going to pop over and grab that. There we go. And let's grab this star. What I will do is actually first drop out of this, go in here, drag and drop this star onto the page. And there I've got the star. What I want to do is I want to open that storyboard, and I want to say that after 1 second, I want this to be here. And you can see that if you hit play, it'll preview it for you, and so the thing moves across. But I don't want it just to fall. I want it to fall and also spin around. So we do that, I hit play, falls and spins. But I can also move in here and go notice that we've got the little render transforms. In the Y direction, I want it to bounce. So I want it to actually fall and then bounce. So we've got these easing functions over here. Let's just do the bounce. And I hit play on this. And there it goes. So now I've got that all done. I just go ahead and close the storyboard. Same kind of thing.
The speed of bouncing?
Yes. So what happened was I said that after 1 second I wanted to do that. And then I applied a pre-existing easing function. So the question was controlling the speed. So I used a pre-existing easing function. What you can do is you can manually create your own. Yeah. So on this one, same kind of thing. I want to go into the click of the button. You can do a little bit of code editing here as well. And this was called, let's see, build this thing so that it actually gives me IntelliSense. Go. Again, I now have the hello world, and it will play the storyboard when I click that button. So it's pretty easy to set that kind of thing up. So this gives you the ability to show how you can isolate the interface from the actual code behind. We have a number of best practices around things like model view controller, model view model, where we have white papers that we published on that. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, Silverlight is a great way to set that up. So it looks like I've got about 25 minutes left. So we will jump on to the next demo.
You can do this on your personal computer, laptop.
Yeah, so I'm doing that right now. The question was, can you do this on your PC? This is what I'm doing right here. Everything is through an emulator. I do have a phone, and what you would do is you would just basically change where you want to deploy this. And notice that this said, hey, something changed, do you want to reload it? You would just say device instead of emulator, and then it'll deploy to the device. So it's very simple switching between the two of them. You would want to have a device if you're doing something like I mentioned with accelerometer, GPS, radio, one of the sensors that just doesn't exist on your computer. Something that would be easier to, or possible at all if you actually had the device itself. Yes?
So what are student experiences developing only for an emulator? Like how do students react to that?
So the question was, what are students' experiences developing only for the emulator? It's actually really positive because it works exactly like you expect it to. We do have a program that gives them access to hardware. So if they, if they're looking at doing some development and they've got an application that they've developed in class that they want to put onto the marketplace, we can get them some loaner hardware through a program called the Mobile Loaner Program. So I think I've mentioned that in one of these guys, but you can email me. I can get you signed up for that. We have a limited number of devices, but basically what we do is we rotate them through different schools, different sets of students. And so we can get you access to the actual hardware if you want to move beyond the capabilities of the emulator. For the first couple of months, before the phone was actually released, there was only an emulator. And so developers have been working with that for a while. And the experience that I have with developers, both students and professionals, is that they're actually surprised because with mobile development, you don't always get the same thing. You have either a simulator or an emulator that uses your PC instead of like the actual ROM. Mostly people are delightfully surprised at the fact that when you deploy it to the actual device, hey, it does exactly what it did on the PC itself.